everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I am so excited to be sharing my week one of my Project Life 2017 album. So let's get started. As you can see, I'm working on my title card, and 99% of the time that's what I start with. So I have a title card from the currently edition from Becky Higgins that I have. It's that gray striped card. And then I have started with that. I have a rubber piece from a Studio Calico kit. Originally it said the word January, and then I just cut off the rest of it so it wouldn't be so large. And I have a gold star and also a piece of striped pattern paper that I'm playing around with. And if you see, some of the pictures have a lot of gray in them, so that's why I went with the gray card. And there's also some more gray in my spread, as you'll see as we get going here. So now I'm going to go ahead and staple the star on, because it's one of those plastic pieces, and that is the best thing that I've found to keep those on. So I love my little tiny attacher from Tim Holtz. It's great. So I am almost done getting my title card all the way together. And as you can see, I've added the dates underneath that strip of paper. And now I was looking at the title card and thinking it needed a little bit of color. So I found this cute little heart and stuck it on the side of the star. And now it is done. All right, I'm moving on to that picture of, I'm not sure if you can tell what it is, but it's called Rouladen. And it's something that my mom makes because she's German, and her mom made it for her and for us when I was growing up. She was here for a visit that week, and so my husband asked her to make it for us. So she did, and I took a picture of her preparing it, and then I stuck that circle piece on that says yes to this, and then I added that cork piece that has the knife and the fork on it. And for now, that is done. And let's see, what am I going to do now? Oh, I think I'm going to add that little 3, that pink 3 on top of the picture of my kids. That was when we went to the park and they were making a house out of tree branches. And so more on that later. Now I'm working on a filler card. I had that banner, that pink banner piece that says work and play. And I wanted to add that because I thought it was perfect for the park pictures, because they were working on their house and also playing at the same time. So I added that on there. And then I'm just gonna leave the rest of the card alone. And now I want to talk about a couple of the photos. So you see the ones of my daughter and her pink cat. Well, we went to the park to get a few pictures that I needed for a project. And then afterwards, the kids wanted to go play around by the river. So we went down by the river and they started making a house out of dead tree branches. And so I thought that tree was really cute, so I added that on there as well. Now, as you can see, I have a box of these remounting squares that you can get at Michael's, and I'm putting them onto a piece of 4x6 paper that I am going to actually put my journaling card onto. And this sets up a great way for me to send it through my printer and print directly on my journaling card, as you can see there.
So I set it through my printer and I set it all up in Photoshop beforehand. You can also use the same technique with a plain sheet of paper, an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I know people do that all the time. So if you have any questions about how I do that, let me know in the comments and I will be happy to help. Okay, so I've added my photo onto my journaling card, and this one was of me and my mom when we were out shopping. She was here for a visit, so we took a little selfie in the mirror at Hobby Lobby, and so I'm putting that on there, and then I'm gonna add this little word strip that says love you, and that card will be done.
All right, let's move on. Looks like I'm looking through my stamps, and if I remember, I wanted to add a stamp to that circle. I thought it could use a little something, so that's what I'm trying to do here. I am deciding which one, and I think that one was too small, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in its spot and try to find another one. And then I believe I'm going to add the heart these photos onto that photo of the dogs down there in the corner. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to add that on there. Now that photo is of the kids playing with their Build-A-Bear dogs, and Caitlin had this idea of setting up a Promise Pet. I think they're all called Promise Pets. And so they had set up a Promise Pets Training Academy. And so as you can see, I stamped that stamp on the photo, and now I'm working on the journaling card that goes to that story.
The first thing I did was to add some of those blue letters, and then I added the pink arrow and a wood veneer piece to go on there, and then that card is now done. I've decided that I wanted to add a date on the bottom of this card, so that way I knew what day it was. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with my date stamp. And since it is a new year, I wanted to remind everyone to make sure you change the date if you are going to date stamp your cards, because I've done that a few times in the past and just wanted to give you a reminder.
Now, that piece that says Fresh Start, that is a acrylic piece from Colorcast Designs, and I thought it went really nice with this Wishing For card that I have from my Studio Calico kit. And I wanted to mention, if you do want to pick up one of those acrylic pieces, go to colorcastdesigns.com and check out her shop. She has so many fun things. And okay, so let's move on. I wanted to add a little bit of color onto this journaling card here. And so I grabbed a piece of washi tape and put it underneath the Fresh Start piece.
I chose that nice blue color to tie in a few of the other blues that are around my spread. And the next thing I thought I'd try on this card is to play around with these stars that I have. They're chipboard stars from Studio Calico. And I am not sure in the end if I like them or not, or if I should have just left it alone. But in the end, I do go ahead and add one on, as you'll see here in a minute. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about is how I actually put my spreads together. I don't always start out with all my photos printed, and I don't do all my journaling cards all together. I want to see the progression of my spread so I don't get it too busy or not enough on one side and too much on the other side. So that's kind of how I like to put them together. Do a card here, do a card there, and that way you can see how everything is going to come together in the end. I hope I'm making sense. So let's move on to what I'm doing now. I have this cute little wooden paw, and that is a piece from Color Cast Designs, and I thought it was perfect for the puppy picture, so I added it on there with a white word strip. And I am now going to go ahead and move around the pictures some. I decided that some of the pictures, they're a little bit more darker, so I wanted to move them around and put the lighter ones in between the darker ones. That way you get it spread out more. Now what I'm doing here is I've decided I wanted to add a stamp onto that photo of Maddie with her Cheeto bag. Now this is a cute little story. We have this thing in our house called the chip check, and I will hand the kids a bag of chips from the pantry to see if they are actually edible or not. And so I wanted to document that in this week because we were going through the pantry and I had kind of an aha moment where I handed Maddie the chip bag and I grabbed my camera and said, "Follow me." And she was looking at me like I was crazy, but I said, "Okay, just sit down, try the chips, try the Cheetos, and I'm going to take your picture." So I'm adding this stamp that says "The Story" onto a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it out after that and put it on top of my journaling that I did onto the photo. Originally, the plan was to put the stamp directly onto the photo, but then I realized I wanted it in that red color and I didn't have Stays On ink in that color, so I just put it on a piece of cardstock and cut it out. And now I am going to decide if I want to put a little heart on there and if I want it on the top or if I want it on the bottom of that piece that the stamp is on. And so I decided I wanted it on the bottom. So I glued the piece on. The next thing I'm going to do is put some wood hearts on that gray card that says "Start Here." And I added one on the top and then one on the bottom. It just adds a little something to the card. And I really like that card. It was gray, so it matched some of the photos real well. I am wrapping up my spread here. I only have a few cards left. I have this card here at the end, and it says the best part and the worst part. And I think it was from one of Allie's story kits, and I can't remember which one. It might have been the surprise one. But anyways, I want to go ahead and put some embellishments on. And I decided on a few of the word strips, and then also a couple little embellishments on the sides. I picked out this card to go with the story of how we went to the park, and it holds a story about the best part and the worst part about going to the park. And the worst part was that the kids refused to leave because they were having so much fun, and it was getting cold and dark, and then it started to rain, and they still wouldn't leave. So, and the best part was that they were having so much fun skipping around and just being kids. Now I want to explain what I'm doing here with the ruler. And this is a trick that I use all the time to figure out how much space I have on a journaling card for my journaling onto Photoshop. So I will take the card once it's already embellished and put my ruler onto the card and figure out how far down the embellishments are and then how much room I have on the card. So that's how I measure. Now you can see that my journaling is on the card, and I am gluing everything together so that I can get this card done and move on. And now I've printed out my last photo, and this one is of Noah, and he was making weapons for their house. It was so cute. And I've straightened everything out, took one last look, and I am done. So here's a last look at my Project Life Week 1. Thank you all so much for coming, and please go ahead and ask any questions that you have in the comments, and like and subscribe. Okay, bye-bye guys.